Bust the rhymes up in the place, true indeed. Bust the rhymes up in the place. Who can flow with me?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the infamous Mr. T.Y., and you're listening to the Project Recap Podcast.
What you gonna do, brother?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the infamous, you know who it is. We're here, another episode, another week, episode 8. We're here. We're really just going to be talking about mostly just what went down at the trade deadline. My winners and losers from the trade deadline, some things about the buyout market, some things have come out today being Saturday. Things with Andre Drummond, LaMarcus Aldridge, things of that nature. I've been, getting new information. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. It might be a shorter episode compared to the last few weeks. I think I've been close to an hour. I kind of anticipate this will be around half of what those episodes look like. So, and a big part of that, no quick recap today. We're just going to go ahead and get right into our topics, mostly because I've just been out of the loop in the past week as far as non-NBA related stuff, not being on social media. But definitely have a quick recap next week. I'm thinking with episode 9 that may come on Tuesday, which was originally the date for every new episode. We quietly shifted over to Saturday. It's like 3 weeks in a row been on Saturday, so definitely gonna try to get back on Tuesdays and have something else on Tuesday. Probably talk a lot about with the Celtics and what's going on there. Won't have too much on them here today, but probably the next episode we'll talk more about what Boston has done with as far as the trade deadline, more in depth on that, and what I anticipate from them as far as the buyout market. If something hasn't happened by Tuesday, then we'll mostly talk about what I think the Celtics should do. Of course, Andre Drummond, that's somebody we'll talk about today when we get to that buyout market conversation. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. First up, I'm gonna read off every single trade that went down at the deadline. It was 16 in total. Quite a few that happened right before 3 p.m., a few after 3 p.m. First up, Miami received Victor Oladipo from the Rockets for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a 2022 first-round pick swap. Up next, the Clippers received Rajon Rondo, my guy, the GOAT, the greatest point guard in history. Let me chill. From the Hawks for Lou Williams and 2 second-round picks. Again, that's Rondo for Lou Will and 2 second-round picks. Very cool to see Rondo play for the other LA team, and I feel like if he wins a ring with the Clippers, you just solidifying your greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you win one with the Celtics, the Lakers, and if you win one with the Clippers, you can talk a lot of good shit. That's all I'm saying. The Blazers, this was a really good trade to me. The Blazers received Norman Powell from the Raptors for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood, shipping out the Duke boys, but getting somebody like Norman Powell, who's really been hooping this year, specifically in 2021, that's a good pickup for the Blazers. Very tough player. Up next, the Bulls, who I think won the trade deadline. The Bulls got Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu from the Magic for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and 2 first-round picks. They got arguably the best available player, or I won't say available because there were other guys available who just didn't get moved. For example, Kyle Lowry, Harrison Barnes, guys like that. Not saying Harrison Barnes is better than Nikola, but Kyle Lowry, some may make the argument, more so the Kyle Lowry fans in particular, but they got the best player that was traded at the deadline. And a guy like that, we'll talk more about why I'm excited for Chicago and what that team looks like now. We'll talk more about that here soon. The Nuggets got Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark from the Magic for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first-round pick. That's another big win. I think the Nuggets are number 2 on my list as far as the biggest winner from today, or from the deadline. I won't say today, I'm tripping, but from the deadline. But Aaron Gordon in that trade, we'll talk more about that at the winners and losers topic. Up next, the Celtics received Evan Fournier. I think that's how you say his name correctly. From the Magic for Jeff Teague and 2 second-round picks. Jeff Teague actually just got waived today, which is what I pretty much anticipated, because that would really their point guard rotation would be very deep if with all 4 of their players being healthy. You've got Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz. Now you got Gary Harris, and then you bring in Jeff Teague, who's been struggling, but I feel like in a different system might play a little bit better, and I feel like that's the case for, really a lot of players. But yeah, well, interested to see what Jeff Teague may go. I don't know if players are gambling on the last few weeks of the season, because he's been playing really well before he got traded. But as a whole, playing in Boston, very disappointing. So I don't know how teams may look at him, how they may value him. We'll just have to wait and see. Also, the Bulls received Mo. Hold on, I gotta say his name correctly. Gotta say his name correctly. Mo Wagner and Troy Brown from the Wizards for Chandler Hutchison. But that turned into a flip, because the Bulls also received Daniel Tice as they traded Mo Wagner to the Celtics. Pretty interesting German for German swap. I don't know how to feel, because I fought with Daniel Tice. That's my guy. At the same time, he couldn't guard like premier centers. You got Joel, Nikola Vucevic, Nikola Jokic. Yeah, bro really struggled against those type of guys, and I'm hopeful we may be able to get something out of Mo Wagner. I'm hearing we may do some other things in this buyout market that can improve our I should say our depth at that 5 position, but we'll talk more about that here later. Up next, the Heat received Nemanja Bjelica from the Kings from Maurice Harkless and Chris Silva. That is a steal to me. The Heat, honestly, I forgot about the Heat when I was talking about the winners, and again, we'll talk about that here shortly, but the Heat is among my winners for today. Again, break that down in the next topic here. But up next, the Mavs received JJ Redick and Nicolo Melli from the Pelicans for Wesley Iwanda, James Johnson, and a 2nd-round pick. I don't know how to feel about that, because I feel like the Mavs did need that shooting off the bench, but I also feel like they needed to improve their defense. So that doesn't really work, because I don't know. Again, very good pickup as far as offense, but a big issue for them has also been their defense. And JJ Redick is not going to answer your problems on defense. I don't see it. The Kings received Terrence Davis from the Raptors for a 2nd-round pick. The Jazz received Matt Thomas from the Raptors for a 2nd-round pick as well. The 76ers received George Hill and another player whose name I will not attempt to pronounce in a 3-team deal. The Knicks also got Terrence Ferguson out of that deal, and then the Thunder, as a result, received Austin Rivers, Tony Bradley, and 2 second-round picks. I think that takes them to nearly 36 or so picks through the next 5 seasons. I think I talked about that last episode. Just add on to that. You know what I'm saying? Just add on to that. You know what I'm saying? So the Hornets also received Brad Wanamaker from the Warriors for cash considerations. And the Spurs, the final trade on the list, the Spurs received Marquise Chris from the Warriors for Caddy Leland, I think is how you pronounce it. Might need somebody to correct me on that. But that is all of the trades that went down at the deadline. Again, 16 in total, including a 3-team trade. Let me know what you guys think was the best trade of the day. Who won? Who lost? Who took the biggest L at the trade deadline? Tell me all about it. Up next, we're going to get right into our winners and losers of the trade deadline as far as who I think are winners and losers. Again, I think Chicago is one of those winners. They traded Wendell Carter Jr. and Otto Porter for Nikola Vucevic. They added a top 3 center in my opinion, let alone the best player that got traded to a lineup that already includes Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, and then you've also got guys like Thad Young, Denzel Valentine, Garrett Temple, and then you bring in a guy like Daniel Tice. You know, that's a very tough team. That's a tough squad. That's tough as hell. And then if you look at Nikola's numbers just this year, he has the 2nd highest points total among centers at 1080. second most minutes played among centers, second most points per game, third in points per possession, fourth in assists per game, eighth in rebounds per game, scored at least 25 points in 21 games, scored at least 20 points in 32 games, and has 10 games with 15 rebounds or more. The guy's a bucket. That's why I feel like Chicago won, because he again was the best player that was traded, and that's somebody I wish Boston would have been able to get, but I really didn't think we would with the assets we had available. And Orlando really got pretty decent or assets back. Wendell Carter Jr., that's somebody that you can definitely throw into your starting lineup, missing guys like Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba. And then Otto Porter Jr., bringing him on. If you want to re-sign him and retain his bird rights, you can definitely have him lead that starting small forward position. So I think they got some good assets, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they also got a two first round picks from that too. So, that's not a bad return. But going back to Nikola Vucevic, he's only 30 years old, and they have him under contract through the 2022 and 2023 season. So you have him for quite some time, and you have an opportunity to win now. I don't think they're looking to bring him in to win in a few years. Seeing how much better he's gotten throughout his NBA career, his numbers have gone up with each season, I think, except for last season, compared to the 2018-2019 season. His numbers went opposite direction last season, but not that much when you look at it, not that much. And then coming into this season, averaging about, I think, almost 25 points. Last year, averaging about 19. That's not bad. Honestly, you got a guy that's bringing in those kind of numbers that's progressing, like just getting better with each season. So you have him for another 2 seasons, not including this season. And then you've got, again, the talent that you have on the roster. The Chicago Bulls can definitely do something. I think they're definitely moving up. I'm going to be watching more of their games. I don't know about y'all, but I'm definitely going to be watching more of their games. I think this may keep Zach LaVine from leaving after next season, because I think he's a free agent after next season. With you bringing in talent like this, you're obviously showing him that you're willing to put all your chips on the table to win. And if you can do that for a guy like Zach LaVine, I don't see what other teams can offer as far as money and the ability to win. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a good move for Chicago. Very good move overall. Very happy for Chicago. I'm jealous because, again, they got my guy Daniel Tice and they got Nikola Vucevic, 2 guys that I wanted to be on Boston. So, again, we'll just see how this season plays out for them. I think that definitely makes it very tough for the other top tier teams in the East: Milwaukee, Philly, Brooklyn. It's gonna be this postseason is gonna be interesting, very interesting, very, very interesting. Up next, as far as my winners, I think Miami was another winner. They received Victor Oladipo. They recently got Trevor Ariza, and they also got Nemanja, my bad, I'm saying it all wrong, my fault. Nemanja Bjelica, and all they had to give up just to get those, at least Victor Oladipo and Nemanja Bjelica, they only gave up Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a pick swap in 2022, I think. I can't remember what year it was for. Just hit my elbow on my desk, my bad. But to see what you got and what you gave up, y'all robbed Sacramento for Bjelica, and then Houston for Victor Oladipo, and I think Trevor Ariza came from OKC. And I'm sure OKC got probably a few picks for him. I think we may have talked about that in the previous episodes, but again, I just feel like they sold low and got a lot back. To me, that's a big win. Up next, as far as my winners, Denver adding Aaron Gordon, replacing, or I should say, filling that void that Jeremy Grant left. I feel like this just makes them so much better. They ended up trading him for RJ Hampton and Gary Harris. They've got Aaron Gordon for another year, so they're not trading him for a rental. They've got him until next offseason. So you get to really see how he'll play with this team. And I think they're going to be a lot better. And I think I've said this before, that they needed to trade for another star to put with Jokic and Jamal Murray. I don't think they would be able to repeat what they did last year if they keep trying to go organically. And then you've also got Michael Porter Jr., Paul Millsap still playing pretty good for that squad. I think that just makes them even better. Now you've got, again, a guy filling that role that Jeremy Grant has left wide open. You've got that tough forward who can guard other tough forwards in the West, LeBron, Kawhi, guys like that. That makes Denver a very, very scary and tough team. And it was great that they got rid of Gary Harris. And I say that because Gary Harris's inconsistent health and play has obviously been something that that's been a problem as far as his time in Denver. And that's obviously something Orlando is willing to gamble on. Gary Harris has not played since January 31st. He's had several injuries during his NBA career, especially in the last 3 to 4 seasons. His numbers have steadily gone down since the 2017-2018 season. And he's right now, even though he's only played maybe around 20 games or so, maybe less, he's averaging half of what he averaged in the 2017-2018 season. You know, that's a huge drop off in about 3 to 4 seasons. It confused me on Orlando's end because that muddies up that point guard position when you bring all 3 of your guards in when they're healthy. Again, you got Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, and Gary Harris. All should be getting minutes. How are you going to spread those minutes is my question. So that's going to be interesting to see for Orlando. But adding back to Denver, adding a guy like Aaron Gordon, 25 years old, fits that young Denver timeline. There, you've got young players again, Jokic, Jamal Murray. That, again, just makes them tougher in the long run. If they can re-sign him, whether that be next season or when he tests free agency next offseason, that just makes Denver a very tough team going forward for years to come. So those are my 3 big winners from the trade deadline. Again, Chicago, Miami, and Denver. Now, I only had 2 losers really from the trade deadline as far as teams. Boston, I'm just going to talk about what they failed to do. As far as what I heard they were looking to do, they were unable to dump Tristan Thompson's salary. I feel like he is kind of overpaid as far as what he's providing. He hasn't played recently due to COVID safety protocols and whatnot. So, not really fulfilling that contract as far as how much he's getting paid again. They instead dumped Daniel Tice's salary to stay under that luxury tax. And in return, they received Mo Wagner, and I can't pronounce the other guy's name. Won't really play much from what I've seen. The other guy we got from Chicago. We were unable to upgrade that center position, and I say that because Danny Ainge specifically said he wanted to, really wanted to go out and get shooting with size, quote unquote shooting with size. So really didn't get that back, but we still can possibly make some noise in the buyout market. Guys like Gorgie Dang, I think it's how you pronounce his name, just got bought out by Memphis. LaMarcus Aldridge just got bought out by San Antonio. Kelly Olynyk probably will get bought out by Houston. If not, just move on from him. But even outside of shooting with size, we didn't really get much size outside of Mo Wagner. So I'm interested to see what we do in the Andre Drummond sweepstakes. I think we may have a chance there from what I've been hearing. We also didn't get the most rumored names that I've been reading about: Aaron Gordon, Harrison Barnes, and John Collins. Of course, Harrison Barnes. Wow, I cannot talk right now. I had this issue last episode. I don't know what's going on. Harrison Barnes and John Collins stayed put. They did not get traded at all, so it's not that bad because nobody else out bargained Boston in regards to getting Harrison Barnes and John Collins. Nobody got them at all. They stayed put. So I feel like Boston just really they didn't do enough. That's my biggest issue. Of course, we got Evan Fournier, but we did not get that shooting with size. I feel like we could have gotten but hopefully we can again make some noise in the buyout market. Andre Drummond supposedly may make his decision today. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get to our buyout section. And the other team that I feel like was the biggest loser was Houston, because with you trading Oladipo for a guy like Kelly Olynyk, or guys like Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley, who are both could be in there. Well, Olynyk's a free agent after this season, but Bradley could be too, because next season, if I'm not mistaken, is a team option. Of course, if they don't opt in, if I'm not mistaken, he could be a free agent this offseason as well and walk. So say if they both walk, you got nothing And that brings me to the next topic with Houston. Houston really has a problem because say if Avery Bradley and Olynyk walk, you just traded Oladipo. If you go all the way back to the James Harden trade, you have nothing left from that. The Rockets could have had Ben Simmons or Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen. Instead, they went and got Victor Oladipo, who again, they just gave up for Olynyk and Bradley, who could be free agents this offseason. And they also got that pick swap in 2022. Now, say if both Bradley and Olynyk are free agents this offseason, I think all they're left with is Dante Exum, who hasn't played since the 4th of January due to a non-contact injury suffered against Orlando in the opening minutes of that game. And as of early March, the last thing I heard, he's in a walking boot. They got first round picks in 2022, 2024, and 2026. They got first round pick swaps in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. And they also got a pick swap in 2022. So that's all you have left from trading James Harden. James Harden, an MVP candidate, a former MVP, an all-star. That's all you have left. Dante Exum and first round pick swaps and I think a second round pick swap. Come on, bro. That's horrible. To me, I think they're banking on getting a top pick, probably like top 4, top 5 pick in the upcoming draft. They're hoping Miami's pick is something the next season. They're hoping Milwaukee's is even more valuable the next year after that. And I think Brooklyn's the year after that. But those teams are all good, so those picks are not going to be worth anything if those teams continue to get better. So, and then looking at this year's draft, of course, you got names like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, and other players that are coming out of the draft. What if you don't end up getting anywhere in that top 4, top 5, anywhere close? What was it worth? What was it worth? It was worth nothing. Houston, what are you doing? Houston, you have a problem. Houston, you really have a problem. Obviously, they're retanking, but the start to your retanking has been piss poor. James Harden has turned into Dante Exum, first round draft picks, first round pick swaps, and a pick swap in 2022. I think in the second round. That's pathetic. Pathetic. We're going to go ahead and get right into the next and final topic, which is we're probably going to keep this one brief because there's not much information with what to expect, at least right now. My only thing I have as far as like news with the buyout market, as far as like what teams are interested in what players and what I've been hearing. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. What to expect from the buyout market, at least, is what I've been hearing. Andre Drummond will start there from the Cavs. Just recently got bought out today, if I'm not mistaken, if not yesterday. The Lakers, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Celtics are the teams I've been hearing about. The Lakers being the front runners. The Celtics, quote unquote, have made up a lot of ground in the last 24 hours. And he's also met with the Celtics today. And I definitely feel like he could fill that void left by Daniel Tice. And then he's better than Tristan Thompson to me. The only thing I have a problem with is how will that affect Robert Williams playing time, I should say. I'm a big fan of Robert Williams, and I'm big on his future in Boston. I feel like he should be our starting 5, and I feel like I've been saying that for a few years now. And even when Al Horford left, he said he was the future of the team as far as that 5 position. So, I feel like if Andre Drummond is willing to accept that backup position, then hey, fuck it, come fuck with us, G. LaMarcus Aldridge also got bought up by the Spurs. The most likely landing spot for LaMarcus is the Heat, as they have an open roster spot. If not, teams like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nets, the Blazers, the Suns, and the Celtics are all teams I've heard about as far as being other options. Other players I'm hearing about that, if not have been bought out at the time of this recording, will be bought out possibly. Kelly Olynyk may be bought out by the Houston Rockets. The Celtics is a team that I've been hearing about that he may look to go play for. Of course, that's his start. That's another. I feel like, again, Danny ain't saying that he's looking for shooting with size. I know Kelly Olynyk is not necessarily size, but he is a shooting 4, if you will. Helped Miami make a deep run last year. It fills that void left by Daniel Tice, so I would be interested, me personally. Otto Porter and the Magic could be bought out. If not, I feel like Orlando would be smart by holding on to him for his bird rights so they can re-sign him more than what another team would be able to sign him for in the offseason. And he could be their starting small forward